Have you ever felt that your own empathy was both a gift and a curse, especially when you're dealing with a narcissist? If you're here, you are one of the chosen ones, the mystics who feel things so deeply. You know that intuitive gut punch that tells you something is profoundly wrong, even when someone is trying to charm you. That feeling is not anxiety. It's a deep, primal knowing that you are in the presence of an illusion. That feeling, that's your power. While narcissists build their entire world on a fragile stage of control, desperately seeking adoration from an audience they secretly despise, there are two rare types of empaths who are their ultimate nightmare. These are the ones who can, metaphorically speaking, dismantle a narcissist's false self, not through force, but through their very essence.
This is not a battle of people, but a collision of cosmic principles. It is the dance of Maya, the illusion, against Brahman, the ultimate reality, as described in Hindu philosophy. It is the struggle between the Yetzer Hara, the selfish inclination in Kabbalistic thought, and the divine spark within every soul. The universe always seeks balance, and in this cosmic dance, the stakes are the human spirit itself. One energy seeks to devour, the other seeks to reveal and liberate.
What if you could become completely immune to a narcissist's manipulation? Not by building walls, but by embracing the exact power that already lives inside you. Today, we reveal the two empathic archetypes, the Heyoka and the Sigma, that are a narcissist's ultimate kryptonite. We will journey beyond pop psychology into the realms of ancient shamanism, Jungian depth psychology, and spiritual wisdom to understand how these forces operate. This isn't just a video. It's a key to unlocking the power you were told was a weakness. We are pulling back the curtain on the spiritual mechanics of these encounters. Prepare to uncover the layers of your own empathic nature as we journey through this enlightening terrain. If you're ready to own this power and transform your empathy into unshakable strength, you're in the right place. Subscribe and hit the bell to join our community of awakened souls. We're here to give you the tools to not just survive, but to thrive. Now let's begin. As we go through these archetypes, tell us in the comments if you recognize these traits in yourself. Your story matters, and sharing it can inspire others on their path to self-discovery. To truly grasp why the Heyoka and Sigma are so devastating to a narcissist, you must understand the world they are trying to pull you into, seen through a spiritual lens. It's not just a realm of genuine self-confidence. It's a meticulously crafted illusion, a kingdom built on smoke and mirrors. What in Eastern traditions is called Maya. From a psychological perspective, their existence is propped up by a desperate, insatiable need for validation, often referred to as narcissistic supply. But from a shamanic view, this is more than an addiction. It's a form of psychic vampirism. They're not just feeding on attention, they are consuming life force energy, or what is known as prana, chi, or mana in various traditions. This fuel they derive from others. Admiration, fear, attention, even your frustration. It all feeds the fragile ego that upholds their false self. A self that has severed connection with the true self, the Atman. This false self is a fortress, but it's made of glass. It's designed to project superiority, perfection, and untouchable confidence. Behind those walls, however, lies a deep-seated, terrified inner child, consumed by a fear of being seen for who they truly are, a spiritual void. Their greatest terror is exposure, what Carl Jung would call confronting the shadow self, the repository of all they deny and repress. They live in constant dread that someone will walk onto their movie set, point out the cardboard props, the fake backdrop, and reveal the director as an utter fraud. This fear of being average, of being ignored, of being fundamentally flawed, is the engine behind all their machinations. They control their world through a well-worn playbook of manipulation. Gaslighting, where they make you question your own sanity and memories, is a favorite tool. A direct assault on your connection to objective reality and your own spirit. Love bombing, that intense, overwhelming rush of affection at the start, is how they ensnare you, creating a trauma bond that feels like divine connection, making you feel like you found your soulmate. Then comes devaluation, where they chip away at your self-worth to make you easier to control and more dependent on them. A systematic dismantling of your soul. They might use triangulation, bringing a third person into the dynamic to make you feel insecure and jealous. The narcissist's power hinges entirely on managing how others perceive them. They need you to believe in their movie. But the Heyoka and the Sigma are the two archetypes who refuse to even buy a ticket. And that refusal is a spiritual game changer. Now let's meet the first of the narcissist's nightmares, the Heyoka empath.
It's vital to understand that the name Heyoka is not found in clinical psychology. It originates from the spiritual traditions of the Lakota and Dakota people, where it means sacred clown or contrarian. But this archetype is universal. We see it in the holy fools of Eastern Orthodox Christianity, who feigned madness to expose the vanity of the world. We see it in the trickster gods like Loki or Eshu, who break conventions to force evolution. The Heyoka was a revered truth-teller and a catalyst, a spiritual provocateur who used paradox, satire, and humor to awaken the tribe to its own follies and imbalances, to shatter collective illusions. This is not merely a label, but a sacred spiritual role that carries immense responsibility.
The Heyoka empath is the modern embodiment of this archetype, and you might be one. They serve as a profound emotional and spiritual mirror. In Jungian psychology, they force the confrontation with the shadow. When a narcissist encounters most people, they see a reflection of the false, grandiose image they're projecting. But when they meet a Heyoka, they confront their true self. All the ugly, hidden, and repressed parts they refuse to acknowledge. The Heyoka doesn't even have to try. Their energy simply is a mirror for the truth. And that is profoundly unsettling for someone whose entire existence is built on avoiding that truth. A narcissist thrives on creating chaos to destabilize you, but a Heyoka is a chaos magician who flourishes in that same chaos. They are alchemists who turn the lead of manipulation into the gold of awareness. They see the game for what it is. They wield humor and satire to dismantle tense situations. For instance, when a narcissist begins a circular argument designed to confuse and exhaust their victim, the Heyoka might suddenly burst into laughter, not out of malice, but at the sheer absurdity of the performance, much like a Zen master laughs at a koan. They might respond to a manipulative rant with a completely bizarre, off-the-wall question that throws the narcissist completely off their script. Imagine the narcissist trying to gaslight them, saying that never happened, and the Heyoka responding with, "Interesting.
That's really
Does never
interesting.
live in the same neighborhood as always. I heard they don't get along." The narcissist's brain short circuits. They are prepared for tears, anger, or submission, not for playful, philosophical absurdity that echoes the teachings of absurdist philosophers like Camus. This is how the metaphorical annihilation occurs. It's not about destroying the person, but dismantling the illusion, a process Tibetan Buddhists call chod, or cutting through ego. The Heyoka is unpredictable. They don't react with the fear or anger the narcissist craves. Imagine a puppeteer pulling strings, only to discover the puppet is alive, laughing, and has tied the strings into knots. The manipulator's power evaporates. This is terrifying for a narcissist who relies on you being compliant while they lie. The Heyoka doesn't play by those rules. They play by the rules of cosmic truth, and that's what makes them so powerful. Where the Heyoka uses a chaotic mirror of truth, our second rare empath, the Sigma, defeats the narcissist with the crushing power of divine indifference.
Like the Heyoka, Sigma Empath is not a clinical term. It is a modern name for an ancient energy, the lone wolf, the one who walks their own path, outside the social hierarchy, yet feels everything. This is the energy of the ascetic sage in the Himalayas, the Christian hermit in the desert, the Stoic philosopher like Marcus Aurelius who finds fortitude within. Their validation comes from within, from a connection to the source, not from the world around them. Their sense of self is not for sale, and it cannot be borrowed or stolen because it is rooted in being itself.
And that is precisely what makes them kryptonite to a narcissist. Remember, the narcissist needs supply. They are emotional vampires who must feed on your energy to feel real. The Sigma Empath offers them nothing. It's like a vampire trying to bite into a stone. The Sigma's greatest weapon is their profound emotional and mental self-sufficiency, a state the Greeks called autarkeia. They don't need the narcissist's approval. They don't seek their validation, and they refuse to engage in the drama. This makes the Sigma incredibly hard to manipulate. Gaslighting fails because a Sigma trusts their own perceptions with unwavering certainty, a clarity born of deep introspection, and what in mysticism is called the inner witness. Love bombing falls flat because they value their independence and solitude too much to be swept away by false intensity. Their inner world is a rich temple they have no desire to leave. When the narcissist moves to devaluation, attempting to insult or belittle them, the Sigma will likely just withdraw, viewing it all as a pathetic and predictable waste of their energy, a display of Maya they simply choose not to engage with. The narcissist's insults are like throwing pebbles at a mountain. They simply bounce off without leaving a mark.
How dare you!
The Sigma's inner world is rich and fulfilling, so the external chaos of a narcissist feels like irritating static they can simply turn off. The Sigma naturally embodies the gray rock method, a strategy where you make yourself as boring and unresponsive as a gray rock. For a Sigma, this isn't a tactic they have to learn. It's simply how they instinctively respond to anything that feels fake or draining. It is the practical application of vairagya, vairagi, from yoga philosophy, dispassion and detachment from the drama of the world. Their silence isn't weakness, it's a fortress, a zen-like stillness that cannot be penetrated. The narcissist is left shouting into a void, feeling invisible, ignored, and worst of all, irrelevant. The Sigma wins by simply removing their energy from the game board, leaving the narcissist scrambling for validation elsewhere, completely starved and deflated. So what happens when a narcissist faces both? On one side, the narcissist, armed with a lifetime of practiced manipulation. On the other, a two-front spiritual assault from the empaths, uniquely built to dismantle them. It is a scenario for which the narcissist has no defense, a perfect, alchemical, and karmic storm. The Heyoka is the active, disruptive force, the offense. Their weapon is the emotional mirror, using sacred chaos, humor, and truth to reflect the narcissist's own shadow back at them. This shatters their composure and forces them to see the cracks in their own mask. The effect is an implosion, a chaotic internal collapse of the narcissist's carefully constructed reality, a spiritual emergency.
The Heyoka dismantles the narcissist from the inside out by exposing the lie. It is an act of spiritual alchemy that transforms the base lead of manipulation into the gold of raw, unavoidable truth. This is the Negredo phase of alchemy, the blackening, the confrontation with the shadow that must occur before purification.
The Sigma, on the other hand, is the passive, immovable force, the defense. Their weapon is detachment, the ultimate spiritual discipline. Their refusal to provide emotional supply starves the narcissist, cutting off their life force. The effect is that the narcissist is left powerless and irrelevant, their ego shrinking in the vacuum of indifference. The narcissist is simultaneously being unmasked and unfed.
The Sigma dismantles the narcissist from the outside in by removing the very structures of attention and reaction that uphold their false ego. This is the separatio in alchemy, the clear separation of the pure from the impure. This dual approach creates a perfect storm that the narcissist cannot withstand, for it attacks both the internal lie and the external support system simultaneously.
This is the perfect storm. The narcissist has no playbook for the Heyoka's sacred chaos or the Sigma's profound indifference. One is a wildfire of truth. The other is an unmovable mountain of self-respect. The narcissist's system is built to exploit ordinary empathy, but the Heyoka and the Sigma represent empathy that is so self-aware, so rooted in spiritual truth, it becomes an impenetrable shield and a discerning sword. As we've discussed these archetypes, you might be seeing yourself in them. These aren't rigid boxes, but they can be powerful maps to understand your own mystic nature and your unique role in the great work of consciousness. So for a moment, journey inward and ask yourself, when you sense a lie, is your first instinct to challenge it, disrupt it, perhaps with a sharp truth or a bit of humor that exposes the absurdity? Do you feel a sacred duty to shake the foundations to help people awaken? Are you often seen as a contrarian, but your intention is always to reveal a deeper, soul-level truth? Do you find yourself laughing in the face of darkness, using humor as a shaman uses a rattle to shake loose stagnant energies? You may carry the Heyoka energy, a force of nature and a catalyst for truth, walking the path of the divine fool. Or, when faced with drama, is your natural response to pull back into the sanctuary of your own being, to observe with the detachment of a witness, and to protect your energy as a sacred trust? Do you find that toxic people seem to lose interest in you because you don't give them the reaction their egos demand? Is your alone time not just preferable, but absolutely essential for your spiritual well-being? A time to reconnect with the source. Do you trust your own inner guidance above the noise of the collective, refusing to be swayed by social pressure? You might walk the path of the Sigma, a guardian of your own peace and a modern-day ascetic sage.
It is not only possible but common to embody traits of both. The goal is not to label yourself, but to recognize your power and your spiritual assignment. The Heyoka feels the weight of the world's illusions, which is the price of being a catalyst for truth, the sacred wound of the warrior. The Sigma can feel the ache of loneliness in their independence, which is the price of total energetic freedom and sovereignty, the sacred wound of the sovereign. Both are profound expressions of empathy that have been alchemized in the fires of experience into unwavering strength, and both have their unique and sacred roles in the cosmic dance of energies. You may be a Heyoka in your work life, shattering corporate illusions, and a Sigma in your personal life, a guardian of your hearth and heart.
The Heyoka and the Sigma stand as eternal proof that your empathy is not a weakness. It is your superpower and your spiritual birthright. When honed by self-awareness and rooted in spiritual truth, it becomes a shield and a sword. The Heyoka teaches us that truth, even when chaotic and disruptive, is a sacred disinfectant for lies. They show us the revolutionary power of holy irreverence in the face of spiritual tyranny. The Sigma reminds us that our inner peace is a sacred temple, and we have the divine right to deny access to anyone who would desecrate it. They demonstrate that true power is the sovereign choice to refuse to play a rigged game. These archetypes ultimately symbolize your own journey of empowerment and awakening. They remind us that the answer to manipulation is not to feel less, but to become more aware, more grounded, more connected to who you are at a soul level. The world is undergoing a great awakening, and these ancient energies are resurfacing because they are the medicine our world needs. Now more than ever. Whether you're a Heyoka, a Sigma, or another kind of empath, know that your ability to feel deeply is not a flaw. It is the source of your greatest strength. It is the light of consciousness itself, the light that exposes the shadows and brings divine clarity to the chaos. We want to hear from you on this deep level. Do you see yourself as a Heyoka or a Sigma? What in your spiritual journey has confirmed this for you? Share your story in the comments. Sharing our sacred experiences is how we build a community of soul-level understanding and empower each other on the path. If this deep dive into the mysticism of empathy resonated with your soul, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who is ready to hear this message. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more content that helps you unlock your authentic spiritual power. Until next time, stay authentic, protect your energy, and walk your path with courage. Stay lit.